What if the space race never ended? Imagine this. The night sky is no longer just a canvas of stars, planets, and distant galaxies. Now, glittering cities dot the surface of the moon. Glimpses of spacecraft journeying to Mars and beyond are common, and humanity is a bustling, multi-planetary civilization. This isn't wild fiction. It's a trajectory we might have been on if the space race had never slowed down after the historic Apollo 11 moon landing. Today we'll explore this enormous what-if, unraveling the short and long-term impacts of an alternate space race. And as you journey with us, don't forget to share your thoughts on this cosmic scenario, and of course, subscribe to join us for more adventures into the unknown. The space race began as a product of Cold War tension, a scientific and symbolic struggle between the USA and the USSR. It was about more than just sending rockets into the void. It was a cultural and political showdown to prove which nation could harness the ultimate frontier first. Achievements like Sputnik, Yuri Gagarin's brave voyage, and the Apollo moon landings solidified the potential for space to be humanity's next domain. But by the 1970s, the race slowed. Economic burdens, political shifts, and the lack of an obvious next milestone caused both nations to ease off their ambitions. What if that hadn't happened? What if this geopolitical competition had been cranked to full throttle, with budgets ballooning and innovation accelerating at breakneck speed? An extended, aggressive space race would have rewritten the history of human progress in just a few decades. First, let's consider how the 1970s and 1980s might have looked differently. Imagine Apollo's successors, greater, more sophisticated missions that didn't end with planting flags on the moon. While Skylab and early Soviet space stations like Salyut were monumental, an unbroken rivalry could have fast-tracked the creation of permanent lunar bases. By the mid-1980s, we might have seen scientists and engineers living and working on the moon, experimenting with mining lunar resources or testing sustainable life support systems. Technology, sprinting forward under duress, might have given us reusable rocket technology far earlier than our timeline's inception of it in the 2000s. Advanced computers, developed to meet the demands of deep space missions, would have revolutionized not just space exploration, but also industries here on Earth. Think about what next-generation communications, satellites powered by Cold War ingenuity, might have done for global internet access, weather forecasting, and even the economics of television and media. But this hypothetical moonshot obsession would come at a cost. Geopolitical tensions could reach fever pitches as the USA and USSR raced to outdo one another. The question remains, could it have brought humanity priceless advancements, or set the world on edge? With short-term lunar ambitions achieved, the next frontier of an unending space race would undoubtedly be Mars. Picture the USA and USSR working tirelessly to build infrastructure capable of sending humans to the Red Planet by the early 1990s. A mission to Mars would be the ultimate proof of technological dominance, a symbol of a nation's mastery over space and survival. Manned missions to Mars might have begun not as colonization efforts, but as exploratory missions to study the planet's terrain, atmosphere, and potential for life. Short-term bases could have been erected while researchers prepared the groundwork for sustainable long-term human habitation. Could we have been on the brink of terraforming Mars by now? Here on Earth, technologies developed for these missions would have spillover impact. Advances in renewable energy to power spacecraft would reshape how we generate clean power at home. Medical innovation for space environments, solutions to prevent muscle loss or intellectual decay in zero gravity, would create tools for healthcare on Earth that benefit astronauts and civilians alike. If we had reached Mars in the 1990s, where would humanity be in the 2020s? One inevitable milestone would be the asteroid belt. Driven by the need for rare minerals critical to technology, nations might have competed to mine these celestial bodies by the early 2000s. Mining asteroids could transform Earth's economy, making resources like precious metals and rare earth elements easily accessible while reducing the stress on our planet's environment. But the vision doesn't stop here. An intense space rivalry could lead us further into the outer solar system. By the 2010s or today, excitement could turn toward missions to Jupiter's moon Europa or Saturn's moon Titan, worlds that tease the possibility of alien life beneath their icy crusts. With pressure mounting to make bold discoveries, nations might have begun sending manned missions to these distant worlds, collecting clues about the origins of life in the universe. Imagine the cultural impact of discovering microbial life on Europa, or unlocking Titan's mysteries. Technology, philosophy, and human imagination itself would all transform. All of this might have unfolded decades earlier if only the space race had never dwindled. The benefits of this alternate history are nearly endless, stretching across humanity's understanding of science, global collaboration, and innovation. Space medicine, for instance, would rapidly evolve to address the demands of lunar and Martian colonies. Out of necessity, solutions to sustain human life in isolated, inhospitable conditions would have applications back on Earth, especially in healthcare technologies for extreme environments or remote communities. Similarly, advances in material science spurred by interplanetary engineering would revolutionize industries about which we can't even theorize today. Space exploration's innovations often ripple across multiple fields, as history already shows us, from Teflon coating to water purification systems initially designed for astronauts. Perhaps most profoundly, having multiple nations pushing toward such ambitious goals might create the seeds of unity. While competition may create division, it's not hard to imagine the eventual birth of an international coalition pooling resources for the greater goal of exploring the stars. However, this path would not be without its pitfalls. An aggressive space race comes with extreme financial costs. Governments might pour unsustainable sums into space programs, sidelining critical priorities like poverty, healthcare, and the environment. There are also political risks. Space could become militarized, a theater for Cold War tensions brought into orbit. Rival agencies might escalate sabotage missions or hostile takeovers in the competition for dominance. And then there's the environmental toll. More launches, more debris in orbit, and increased carbon emissions might turn humanity's greatest achievement into Earth's greatest ecological catastrophe. If this relentless push toward the final frontier had come to pass, what would the 2020s look like? Humanity might not just have footprints on Mars, we might have thousands of people calling it home. The asteroid belt could be a bustling economy of robotic miners and exploration vessels, bringing resources back to Earth. The night sky might not look the same either, dominated not by mystery but by activity, with spacecraft and orbital cities gliding far overhead. Movies about interplanetary wars or utopias might mirror reality far more than fiction now. It's a thrilling vision, one that sci-fi fans and futurists can only dream about. But is it better than where we are today? In some ways, the slow pace of real-world space exploration has allowed nations and scientists to collaborate, share knowledge, and act more thoughtfully. Maybe the balance we have is necessary for sustainability, or maybe, just maybe, we lost decades on a road to greater progress. What do you think, dreamers and explorers? If the space race had never ended, how different would humanity's journey into the cosmos look today? Would we already be hopping across the galaxy, or struggling under the weight of our ambitions? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and if you've been inspired by this vision of what might have been, don't forget to like this video and hit that subscribe button. Together, let's venture further into the vast unknown, both in our imaginations and in reality. The stars are waiting.